Hello, and welcome to another episode of FaceTime Face Off. I'm Mike DiLisio.
And I'm Dan Hughes.
And Dan, they said it couldn't be done. They said it wouldn't be done. It was too...
They said it shouldn't be done, Mike. They didn't say it couldn't or wouldn't. They said it shouldn't. That's what happened.
This is too audacious. It's too ambitious. It's too high concept. It's FaceTime Face Off. And Dan, we're still not using Face Off, but we have not been able to come up with some... What did I say? Face off? Yeah, we are facing off. We're not using FaceTime. That's correct. But we can't think of anything snappy that goes with Skype. So we're going to continue to stay with this. And we're locked in, Dan. We're locked into this for the end of time.
We've got a contract with Tom now. We're doing this for 10 years.
That's correct. Episode 2, Dan. Episode 2. So, look, I feel like there were a couple of things that were brought up after episode 1 that were valid comments, and one of which was that I have no idea what you two are talking about. So that's a valid commentary. And so, what is the concept behind FaceTime Face Off? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? Because look, this has a goal, a very strong goal and purpose, Dan. But maybe we need to be a little more explicit in what that is.
It's fair enough because we are revolutionising the board game media space here, Mike. Mm-hmm. We really are. Okay, so Mike DiLisio was furious at the Dice Tower audience, feeling that they had completely got the People's Choice Top 100 completely wrong. He was calling them nincompoops, buffoons, and ignoramus, weren't you, Mike? You were going for it.
Is that the... Is that the plural of ignoramus? Is ignorami, Dan? Are we going to just skip right over that?
Just because you don't know how to speak proper like what I do. Don't mean to say. Anyway, so we decided we're going to re-rank the People's Choice Top 100. And the tool, this is what we missed out last time.
Yes.
The tool that we're going to use to re-rank it is a website called PubMeeple.
Pub, what was that, Dan?
Ignorami.
I just popped it up on the screen so people can see that, yes.
Oh, marvellous. And this is a tool which uses a rank sort system of ranking things. So it compares one game to another.
Sure.
And it'll do that for a succession of different games. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of it, it magically comes up with your ranked list. And forgive me if I'm wrong, Mike, but this is how you put together your own top 100 for the Dice Tower.
It is at least a portion of how I do it. I use it to help me with the process, and then I do a little bit of manicuring, much like my lovely, lovely nails, Dan. I manicure my list after I've gone through the PubMeeple, but it is a great starting point for me. And so the idea is that we're taking the Dice Tower, correct, and we're making sure we're getting this right this time.
The Dice Tower
People's Choice.
You said out of all board gamers, they were the worst cross-section. That's what you said.
Dan, your revisionist history, as always, is in tip-top shape. So the idea is that we're taking just 5. We're not going to do all 100, because we have to do this in manageable chunks, Dan. And we also have to be able to stretch this concept out as long as we possibly can.
10 years we've got to do this for.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we've taken 5. And also, we have to obviously choose games that we have played, but which, with you and I, with our 350 years of combined experience in board games. There are very few games in the People's Choice Top 100 that we have not played, but we are making sure that we are choosing games that we have both played. And
or at least had a look at the covers for. That's how you normally do your reviews on the Dice Towers. You just look at the covers, see, this is about 8 out of 10. Stick that up there. Dice Tower judgment approved. You don't even bother playing them these days. You just scan through the rule book. That's what I've heard.
Well, Dan, when you've got the experience and the expertise that I have, if anyone could do it, it would be me. So we've chosen 5, and they are they're not 5
at random.
At random, right? So it's not like these are 5 consecutive.
No.
They're just 5 that are in a ranking according to the people. But we are going to reevaluate those rankings, put them through our critical meat grinder, and then come up with the new and, at that point, definitive list, correct? Okay.
And we got some criticism last time from people about how we solved tiebreakers.
We did,
so, Mike,
yes.
I've been working tirelessly. As you know, I'm a crack computer programmer in my spare time. And I've created our very own AI, because it's all the rage, AI.
AI is a big thing right now, Dan.
What? Yeah. And what I've done is scanned the personality of every single board game reviewer.
Okay.
Board game snobs, because but and it didn't take long because they haven't got much personality. But I scanned the personality, and I've created an AI bot which will give us the amalgamated opinions of the board game reviewers. Whatever it was, opinions.
Dan. Yes, Dan. That's quite an undertaking. I mean, this must have taken you hours.
At least 4 hours it took me to do it, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah. And are we ready to reveal the high-tech computer graphic?
Dan,
if of the AI.
As long as I've got the actual bandwidth, I am working on one of the newer MacBooks. So as long as I've got the technical abilities here, let's give it a shot, Dan.
Okay. There we go.
Oh my!
The face of the board game reviewers AI there.
Chat VSL. Wow, that's terrifying.
Pretty impressive stuff.
It is impressive, but you're hiding it behind our computer graphic. I moved the graphics. Oh boy! Now I've revealed that lighting behind you, Dan. So I am in the Dice Tower Midwest Annex, and I'm getting the studio up to snuff. Now, last time we did this, Dan, you were at some posh boutique hotel in London. It looks like, what are you in Paris, Dubai? Where are you this time?
I've rented a YouTube studio in Dubai, and you can tell it's a YouTube studio because look. The background is faintly out of focus, and there's a light back there. That is professionalism, Mike. That is YouTube professionalism. You don't get that kind of stuff anywhere, You won't get that and watch it play, to tell you that
much. You are single-handedly trying to anger everybody on the internet.
Oh, yeah, baby. I'm trying to get you sacked from the Dice Tower.
And keep in mind, all of these people that you're slagging off were all part of our AI system, and so you don't want to throw off the algorithm too much and anger the AI.
I got peeked behind the curtain there.
Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. All right. Let's get started, Dan. Why don't you, do you want to just give us the list of the 5 games that we are going to be comparing?
I can, in no particular order.
Okay.
We have Codenames.
Okay.
Nidavellir. Memoir 44. Viticulture, the Essential Edition.
The Essential Edition.
Yeah. And Obsession.
Okay. All right. So those are the 5 games that have some type of a ranking according to the people's choice in the Dice Tower. And we are going to now put them through their paces. All right. So, Dan, I've got our first matchup, and people actually saw a little sneak peek of this when I showed the Pub Meeple screen. Here we go. I'm going to put it up there again, Dan. Right now, our first matchup. Are you ready?
I'm ready, baby.
Our first matchup is Memoir 44 facing off against Obsession, Dan. So it's Memoir 44 Obsession. Now, this one is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not sure you can have a more disparate thematic gap. It's a virtual chasm here, Dan. You've got basically Downton Abbey, the board game, and World War II. Right now,
yes.
Maybe not as wide a gap because actually...
Before suitability was World War One.
Right.
Because Downton Abbey was, I presume, was interrupted by World War One.
Correct, and it was actually part of this... It was part of the storylines from time to time, actually. It was. So maybe not as wide a gap, but a wide gap. And also, year of release. Obsession is one of the newer games that I imagine that would be on the People's Choice Top 100. And Memoir 44 is a seasoned, grizzled warrior, a veteran, so to speak, of the board gaming hobby. So... any initial thoughts, Dan? I'm going to give you the first the first little go at this.
Now, my favourite author is a chap called P.G. Wodehouse, who set all his books in a kind of...
He wrote a Clockwork Orange, correct? P.G.
No, he wrote the Jeeves and Wooster books.
Okay.
And they're all set in kind of upper class aristocracy type thing, kind of around the 20s, but really could be interchangeable with any kind of time. Anyway, so you'd have thought... I'd have liked Obsession.
Yeah.
But as I have quipped before, hilariously, I found Obsession to be Obsession Downtime Abbey. Downtime Abbey.
Are you sure you didn't put this game in the list just to be able to get that little zinger in there?
No, I've no idea what you're talking about. That's scurrilous lies. Scurrilous lies. Now, Memoir 44, I do enjoy. I prefer the is it Rune Wars, the Battle Law,
the fantasy version. There's also it's the commands and colors system, right?
Yeah. The commands and color system. I do like the commands and color system, although the randomness of it sometimes does get a bit frustrating when you're trying to push up kind of one flank and you've got all these plans and then your cards don't come out, so you can't do it, which is reflective of war in general. No plan survives the first bullet or whatever it is. But at least that moves at a pace, Mike. At least that moves at a pace. Now, I do like heavy games, but I don't like heavy games when you're waiting for lots of people to take their turn. It takes a long, long time and things like that. So I'm going to go for Memoir 44 here, Mike, because I think it does war games in a nice, simple fashion, which, other than Undaunted Normandy, I don't think anyone else really does. Yeah. Whereas Obsession, Downtime Abbey, other than the theme, it does the same things as a lot of things do, in my view.
Okay. You make a compelling case, Dan, and this is actually a little bit.
Case, Mike.
This is a little bit closer than maybe I would have thought when I first saw this matchup, because Obsession is a game that is been in my top 100. It's a game that I like quite a bit, and it's not just the theme. I'm not going to even argue that there can be significant downtime amongst, especially new players. Once you've played the game a few times, it obviously, like almost any game, it's going to go a little bit more quickly. But I do think that it is a bit more unique than maybe you're giving it credit for. I really like the kind of the way the cards and the it's not really tile placement, but you're kind of putting out these tiles that are going to give you different things that you can do, and you have to be able to coordinate the types of workers, the valet, and the maids and such with those cards. And I really do like the kind of the idea that you're trying to get married to to that. I think that it does a very nice job of integrating theme and mechanics. And so, while I think Memoir 44 is a rightly considered a classic game, if I'm going to choose between the two, which one I want to play, it's going to be Obsession. Therefore, I'm going with Obsession. And it looks like we already, Dan, in our first matchup, have to bring about our AI overlords. And so, Dan, which is going to be the winner here?
I'm just looking at my computer display screen down here, and it says that the AI agrees with you, unfortunately, Mike, because it has no soul. It feels that Obsession is the way forward. So Obsession wins this round. And yet again, in this face-off, face-down, whatever it is, I'm getting overruled.
That's correct. I am switching on to Obsession. Maybe. I'm trying to do it on my actual, let's see here. There we go, Obsession. Well, look, I'm still working things out. Okay. Now, we've got Viticulture Essential Edition and Codenames, Dan. Viticulture Essential Edition and Codenames. And I'm going to start this one off because you started off the last one. Codenames is a phenomenon, right? There's no question about it. As far as word games and party games go, this has taken the board gaming hobby by storm. It has sold thousands and thousands and thousands of copies.
I think it's gone beyond that. I think it's taken the world by storm. I don't think it's just taken the board gaming hobby.
That's true. It's gone beyond quote unquote hobby board gaming. That's correct. It's one that's gone into the wider cultural stratosphere. No question about it. And it has spawned a number of different, the Codenames Duet, which is the cooperative version. You've got the Disney and all of the different IPs that have become a part of it. So it's a phenomenon. No question about it.
Gold Girls, that was a good one.
That was a good one, except that every other card was cheesecake, so it was a little limited. And so while I appreciate it, and I like Codenames, I like word games, and that's one of the party games I do like. Viticulture is one of my top 20 games. I absolutely adore Viticulture, the Essential Edition, which I'm glad we're making a distinction for that. So for me, this is clearly going to be Obsession, although Codenames is a game that has a significant appeal.
It's clearly going to be Viticulture, not Obsession, but yes, I
Viticulture.
see where you're going.
Yes.
Now, forgive me, I'm not entirely. I have played the Essential Edition, but I wasn't getting everything out of the box.
Yeah.
So, do you play? Is it a bit like Raiders of Scythia compared to Raiders of the North Sea, where you the best bits of the expansions are kind of incorporated into it, or is it still a add and pick and choose and pick and mix type thing?
No, it takes basically the kind of the best bits. So it has the mamas and the papas, and it has of course the grande worker, and I can't remember all of the differences, but there is also an essential Tuscany that you can add to it that has even more.
But it rolls the most popular bits of expansions into the base game.
Yes.
And now, my hatred of expansions, Mike. So I
do.
Apart from the Cora Quest expansion. I approve of that. I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good way of putting out a second edition to roll those in. I'm going to go with Viticulture as well. It's not as high up on my list as it is on yours. There are other worker placement games that I prefer. However, Codenames for me has always left me a little bit cold because I think it's too easy to be left out of Codenames because it's a team game. It's too easy to be the quiet person at the back in Codenames. I prefer So Clover, for example, which is a very similar thing, but doesn't have that risk of the quiet person being as left out. I mean, maybe the quiet person wants to be left out. That's also a possibility, especially in a group I'm in, trying to avoid me. But nevertheless, I think that is a little bit of a flaw with it. So I'm going for Viticulture 2. So no need for the AI in this instance. We are agreed.
All right, Viticulture gets the win there. Okay, so we've got a repeat here with one of the games. We've got Obsession going up against Nidavellir. Nidavellir and Obsession, Dan. So I'll let you start this one off. We'll just kind of alternate there on who gets first words on this.
Well, Nidavellir, aside from being a silly name that no one can spell, is fantastic. It combines two of my favorite mechanics, which is kind of a drafting plus auction. It's got a really clever currency system where you basically are using the currency you didn't use for betting to buy other currency and things like that.
Right.
Or something like that. I can't remember
basically
exactly how it works. Set collecting, nice and simple, great gateway game. I think, while I do like the theme for Obsession, I prefer some other heavier games, and I do think there is a downtime issue within that, at least when I played, there certainly was.
Yeah.
So I'm going for Nidavellir all the way, baby.
All right. Look, I'd like to argue with you, Dan, because generally speaking, I think that you have very little idea what you're talking about. But in this case, I think you are 100% correct. I think Nidavellir is a game that does so many things right. It is very easy to teach. It plays in a perfect length for the amount of game that you're getting for it. I think set collection is a mechanism that most people are comfortable with, even if they're not someone that games a lot. The idea of putting things into sets makes intuitive sense. I think that the thing that the biggest weakness of the game is the theme. It's not there. But that's okay because the art is nice, the production is nice. It's actually almost overproduced. The little things that hold the coins, are maybe a little over the top, but just a splendid game. And to me, I also would go along with you on this one. So we don't have an argument here either, Dan. We're going to be going with
Lock it in, baby.
Nidavellir over Obsession. Oh, Dan, here we go. So 2 games we've already talked about. We've got Nidavellir and Viticulture Essential Edition. Nidavellir and Viticulture Essential Edition. So I think I start this one, or you do?
You start this one.
This is where
we're going to fall out, Michael.
All right, well, Dan, you're correct. This is where we are going to fall out because everything I just said about Nidavellir, I absolutely still hold, right? I'm not quite that wishy-washy, but look, Viticulture is one of my top games of all time. I think that Nidavellir would have to hold the interest that it does for me for another 5-6 years because Viticulture has been around a long time, and it is still a game that I will consistently reach from my shelves and grab and bring down. It's just one of my top games. So this is more about my appreciation for Viticulture than it is that Nidavellir is not a strong game, because it certainly is.
No, you're wrong, unfortunately. Nidavellir is a better game than Viticulture in my view. Although there's nothing wrong with Viticulture, I think it's a solid entry. But that's all it is, Mike. Okay. Solid, not spectacular like Nidavellir. If only they'd changed the name.
Yeah,
why didn't they? I mean, a better name than that. Anyway, so it's a disagreement.
It is, Dan.
I'm not going to go on about it because we talked about this before.
Yes.
So up pops the AI.
Yes. There really should be some sound effects here, Dan. I wonder if I can find. I wonder if I can find any sound effects. Go
horribly
here.
Wrong, ladies and gentlemen.
This could go very, very bad. Do I see sound effects anywhere? You keep doing your stuff while I look for sound effects.
The AI agrees with you, unfortunately, as always.
Yes.
And believes that Viticulture is better than Nidavellir, which, considering I programmed this AI, infuriates me.
Yeah.
The machines have risen to go against the master.
Okay. So you're saying that we have for us Viticulture over Nidavellir, correct?
Yes, that's right. Don't try and do two things at once, Mike. It doesn't suit you.
By episode 3, Dan, I will have sound effects that are going to be appropriate for our AI. Okay, so we've got now Nidavellir, Dan, and Codenames. Nidavellir and Codenames is our next matchup, and I think you go first on this one.
I don't think there's much question here. What I'm going to go with Codenames again is a fine game. I'd much rather play some other word type. I'd even rather play Wavelength, I think, than Codenames, which I suppose isn't anything like Codenames.
No, but they're in the
What I do like about Codenames is it lets you feel clever sometimes.
Yes,
there's Codenames, isn't it? That
it does,
and get that nice social experience. But
and conversely, it can make you feel stupid.
That is also true, or make you think the other people on your team are stupid. That is also true. And wildly ambitious and say cheese 8 or something like that. But so I'm going with Nidavellir down here. There's nothing better than a good auction game, a good set collection game, good drafting game. This is all of those. Nice little package. Let's go for it, baby. Nidavellir all the way.
It is Nidavellir. I mean, I feel like I feel bad for the fans of Codenames. I know that there are many of them out there because they're just going up against games that we happen to like better. I do like Codenames. This is not a situation where I think this game is trash, but Nidavellir to me is going to be getting the nod as well. So let's go ahead and lock in Nidavellir. All right, Codenames, Dan. Codenames and
versus
Obsession. Codenames and Obsession. And I think you go first here.
I don't know. Does it matter?
Sure. No, it doesn't matter.
Actually, you goes first.
Let's let the AI go first. All right. Codenames.
AI. Okay, you can do if you want. No. The AI says Obsession. There you
go. So that is actually the AI's.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going with
the AI voice that I programmed into it. I should have been using that before. Sorry.
Quite good, Dan. I am going. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. Which one of these would be good? Bring back the AI. Here's its thinking. I don't think you heard it, but it's a DJ air horn. All right, that's the thinking for the AI.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's thematic. I bet everyone's glad you waited for that, aren't you, everybody?
All right. I'm going with what was it again? Here we go. It's Obsession and Codenames, right? I'm going with Obsession, Dan. Obsession. Bring me back to Downton Abbey.
Yeah. I'm going with Obsession as well. Only just, mind you, for me.
Okay.
But Obsession is good. And you're right. They're using different workers for different things. That's part of what makes it so AP pro.
It does mean that you can get into that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it is a very clever mechanic. So,
all right.
Obsession.
Here we go. Okay, now Codenames, Dan, and Memoir 44. Codenames and Memoir 44. I think you go first this time.
Oh,
wait a minute. Let me here's a sound for you.
Well, I can't hear these sounds.
Trust me, it was hilarious. Okay.
It was no doubt demeaning. I think I'm going to go with Memoir 44, which probably is predictable for people. I think it, as much as Codenames has kind of broken through into the mainstream, and Memoir 44 hasn't, I think its history as the game that popularized the Command and Colours system. I know Command and Colours originally did it, but that kind of brought it through into the mainstream, and it's been a favourite for so many people. And I'd love to play that massive multiplayer one. I think that'd be loads.
The Overlord
one. So, there's something about a World War II game that really speaks to the middle-aged white male in me as well. Sure, of course, makes sense. Because as I've talked to you before, they reached a certain point around the age of 45 where every middle-aged, middle-class white male suddenly goes, "Oh, I'm interested in World War II."
Yeah, it's time to turn on the History Channel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Memoir 44.
Here's one, Dan, where I am going to be giving the edge to Codenames on this one, Dan. I am going to be giving the edge to Codenames because these are very close, very, very close. But if I'm like, which game would I play? What I want to play right now? It's going to be Codenames. So here we go. Bring up the AI. What do we got?
Codenames is the winner.
Look,
this is a ridiculous state of affairs.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Here we go. We're going to be locking in.
About that one, to be honest.
What was that?
That one was an edge case for me as well.
Okay, Dan, we've got our list, and right now it is still up on the screen there. So let's just we'll go through it in bottom to top order. And right now, like I said, I still have the Pub Meeple screen up there. So in fifth place, Memoir 44. Memoir 44. In fourth place, Codenames. In third place, Obsession. In second place, Nidavellir. And in first place, Viticulture Essential Edition. I've taken that off the screen now, Dan. I am very, very happy with that ranking. I feel like...
you would be, because everything you've wanted has been decided by Mr. Stupid Hat over here. Disgraceful.
Look, I think that the AI, your programming skills are beyond reproach, Dan. They're fantastic. So that is our new definitive list amongst those five. How do they compare to the Dice Tower's People's Choice?
Well, put the list back up again, Mike.
Okay, I'm putting the list back up.
So people can see.
Yes.
So at number 5 for the People's Choice was Memoir 44.
Oh, okay.
Number 4 was Codenames.
Wow.
So we're in agreement so far. So number 3 was Nidavellir.
Okay.
Number 2 was Obsession. And number 1 was Viticulture. So basically we've swapped Obsession for Nidavellir.
Right.
Yeah. That was worthwhile, wasn't it? Thank goodness we spent the last 20 minutes doing that. That was well worth both of our time. Filled some time though, didn't it? Filled some time. It
did, Dan. And I feel like, look, if nothing else, this is maybe giving a little bit of reassurance to the people, right? Because I know that they question themselves all the time, and what does Mike think? What does Mike think is what they're, how close am I?
What was Mike thinking? That's what actually still. Yeah.
Look, Dan, I feel like we're doing important work, and
we said it last time. It's the most important work that's going on at the Dice Tower at the moment. We possibly are, the two most important people on that team at the moment.
I'd argue with you if I could, Dan. I'd argue with you if I could, but if there's anything that our AI has taught us is that we're really changing the fabric of board gaming in real time, Dan. In real time,
we're a new paradigm. Like we're a paradigm shift. That's what we're doing.
We are. We are paradigm shifters. And I'm going to leave it at that. Dan, I feel good about episode 2 and episode 3. I'm sure we'll come up with even new, because look, we're not ones to rest on our laurels. Every time we come back, it's going to be something new and exciting. Am I correct?
Yeah, because people will be complaining about it, so we'll have to change it again.
And we'll have to change, adjusting to what the people have been saying. But for now, Dan, I feel like we can let people rest at ease a little bit. They have a better understanding of where these games should be.
They can sleep at night now, Mike, can't they? They can sleep at night.
And as always, I guess we should just end this with, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. You're welcome. Until next time, I'm Mike DiLisio.
I'm Dan Hughes.
And we'll see you on the next episode of FaceTime Face Off. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take these off so I can keep a little bit of vanity. All right.
That's the difference between you and me. I like having mine on. I don't like my head without my glasses on.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like my bags are too big.
That's staying in the video, by the way.